Okay, we're live.
Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. I'm sitting virtually with my host, Mr. Leonard Brackett and Mr. Rody. Tonight, we would like to bring you the 15th episode of Belizean Affair. And as a part of what we're doing is to try to educate the Belizean people and immediate issues that are hampering our people from moving forward and how we can come up with ideas that can lead to improvement and betterment for the people of Belize. With that said, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Wade for his introductory message.
Pleasant good night to our viewers, both at home and abroad, and thank you to Gregory for that warm introduction. Like he said, hopefully that we could educate the public, like we have been doing, because the show is about people and country. It's about the poor and less fortunate, and we are the voice, and we are not here to for no grandstand or or on behalf of any political agenda. No, we are not. We are just here simply to educate our Belizean people, like uh, Gregory said. And on that note, I'm going to continue reading um, from Proverbs 3, chapter 3, 25 to 34. It continues. It says, "Do not be afraid of sudden terror of the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, 'Go and come again tomorrow. I will give I will give it when you have it with you.' Do not plan evil against your neighbor
Mhm.
who dwells trustingly beside you. Do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence and do not choose any of his ways. For the diversion, for the devious person is an abomination to the Lord, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord curse it is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Towards the corner of his of the corner he is scornful, but to the humble he gives favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools get disgrace. That's my reading for tonight,
Amen. Amen.
Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your reading. Thank you, Greg, for being the chairman tonight and for leading us in this presentation. Uh, my name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the panelists on the show. And I'd just like to offer a word of prayer before I turn it back over to the chairman. Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence once more, we pray that thou mayest accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness today, first and foremost for the privilege of life, and secondly, for the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Please be with us, guide us, strengthen us, bless our country of Belize, its leadership and its people. Bless this country of the United States, its leadership and its people, and bless the rest of humanity as well. To know our heart, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts. Please continue to guide us and help us that we may speak words that may bring some resonance to the people that are hearing, and help that whatever we say or do may be to the honor and glory of thy kingdom, as well as to the benefit and well-being of our country and people. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Good night to the people at home and abroad. Tonight, I would like to clarify the changing of the Queen's head on our currency. Many people has been led to believe that our money will not lose its value if we remove the head of the Queen and we do not replace it with the head of Charles. But let me say this to you, okay? Anybody who has knowledge will know when you speak about currency and a country and the valuation that each country has to have financial assets or goal to keep their money going strong. Now, if you read a lot or you do searches on Google and you look up about the devaluing of currency and what keeps a country currency strong, you will find this out for itself. Because the great America once had this issue when they were printing more money than the amount of gold they had in Fort Knox. So this is why I'm opening up and I want to speak about this topic with my other panelists to hear what they will say so that we might be able to educate the people at home and abroad and the devaluing of our currency and what makes the Belizean money strong. Mr. Wade.
My brother, thank you. Thank you, Gregory. You know, in past shows, you know, we have brought up this topic already because we saw what was going to happen. We knew. So we had touched this subject some months back already. When they came up with the idea want to do constitution reform, and we had touched the same issue about changing the our Belize dollar, you know. Well, in my view, right? In my view, our dollar is strong, and from I was a little kid, you know, and up to present, you know, I know for a fact that the reason why our dollar is strong is because of the crown, right? So I listened lately to these leaders, a couple of these leaders. Oh yeah, it's high noon that yeah, we need to change the features from the dollar, and you know, we need to separate ourselves from the crown, you know. We need our own identity, and all of a sudden, you know, so as for me, I do not entertain that because they have their agenda. and their agenda is not in line with nation and people. So if they interfere with our currency, like you said earlier, Gregory, our dollar will not be strong anymore because, like I say, the reason why our dollar is strong. Now, all of a sudden, the leaders of this country now are saying that we dollar is strong anyway, right? If we separate ourselves and change the features of our dollar, right? That's hogwash, right? From the mere fact you want to separate from the crown, that's telling you a lot, right? So what plans do these people have in place, right, to keep our dollar strong? And I could say this right now, here and now, that the now King Charles, he do not give a hoot. He do not give a hoot if Johnny Briceño and his government want to shivatize. I want to ask the PUP government one thing, and leaders. Do you think that the British will beg you not to have your own identity in terms of separation? You think they will beg you not to do it? Something is wrong with you guys. Like I say, they don't give a hoot, right? So my thing is, Gregory and Leonard, right, and the Belizean people, are these guys thinking right? Have they followed this through all the way as to the negative effect? Have they considered that, our money will not be strong anymore, and the buying power of the Belizean dollar will not be strong, right? So I want to ask, I challenge him and I ask them through this medium, what plans do they have in place, right? The way these guys are going, I know I go to bed tonight and, if I wake up in the morning, I will be in for a total surprise, right? These guys here are some rogue people, right? Like I say, I hope that, they are putting all these factors into consideration, guys, right? About, interfering with our money, right? Go ahead,
Mr.
pass it
Wade,
over back to you,
Mr.
Gregory.
Mr. Wade, rightfully said, and you really express your opinion as far as changing the money goes. But let me say this to you, while it might seem as though the king is doing nothing about it, he don't have to do nothing, because we have a head of state here who is the governor general that is supposed to protect his interests. And the prime minister and his government know for a fact that they cannot commit any serious act against the crown. That if they want to change this country to a republic, it has to be done constitutionally. So, if they intend to change this country into a republic using legalized conspiracy, which is to mislead the people and turn them into sovereign citizens against the crown. Again, it boils down to seditious activity. And I will tell you later on, after Mr. Brackett has his say on the devaluation of our money. Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before I go into my response to your particular statement, I just wanted to make mention that we have a few people on the making comments, and one, Mr. Gregory Morrison, says, "Hello all," and then we have another Facebook user that is saying good night, and then we have another one here that's saying good night to all. So,
Good night.
All we want to do is acknowledge these individuals and others whom I'm not probably able to pick up right now. They're tuning in and their comments, and to say to them that we appreciate their involvement. I want to go now to deal with the issue at hand. But I want to take it to a different level. I'm going to answer the question by going on a wider geopolitical rant, basically, because that's what it's going to take to allow our people to really understand the context of what's going on and the possibility of really what is going to happen to us after the fact, regardless of what these knuckleheads are telling the people. Some of it they're telling them as outright blatant lies, and other part of it is because they are ignorant of the realities and the facts. But to deal with the geopolitical issue, for example, part of the behind the scenes reason why these people are so hell-bent in disassociating Belize, formerly British Honduras, or British Honduras colony, or formerly Bay Colony, from the British, is because we, the Belizean people, back in the old days, requested the British to assist us with the defense of our country. At that time, it wasn't a country of ours. It was just, a piece of land that we were squatting on. That did not belong to the Guatemalans because they never conquered it. Spain could not give them what Spain did not conquer, and Spain did not own. And Spain had been whipped so badly in all those wars that they were having against the British that they had to come to terms and realize that they could not haul and pull the British as they wanted to. So the Belizean people asked the British then to step in and assist us with defending what we then and now consider to be our patrimony. The Belizeans and the British did not came and conquered the Mayan people that used to live in Belize, like the Spanish they did to the rest of Central America and South America and Mexico. So people need to realize and understand that this issue of Belize having any rights to be where it is, and for the people of Belize to claim any rights to what we call our heritage, our patrimony, our country, now known as Belize. We have long had people among us who were trying to distance us from any means or any support in order to chart our own destiny and control our own territory. They now come with this issue of distancing ourselves from the British monarchy and anything that has to do with the British, because according to them, they are bamboozling and lying to the people to tell the people that the British came here and conquered this piece of land and brought slaves here, and we, this black people, supposed to hate the British because they enslaved us. So since the British enslaved us then, according to their theory, which is not correct, but I'm just going to play devil's advocate, since the British enslaved us and turned around, gave us the land, so we could now have it control under our own independent status as a country, as Belize. Why is it now then that we are going to start hating the British or follow these knuckleheads in being disrespectful and disdainful to the British and disassociate ourselves totally from the British and anything that has to do with the British? To associate ourselves with whom? I would like for them to answer that question. But them failing to answer that question to us, I have a perspective in terms of my past history, dealing with the issues that relate to my country, all the research that I've done about my country, and all the political involvement of myself in my country for the last 60-odd years. I can make statements that squares with what the truth really is. And I can say that the reason why they want us to disassociate from the British is for us to become an independent, defenseless pauper. We will not have any money to back or currency, 2 for 1, or whatever numbers it will have to find its value at when it goes on the world market, because we don't trade with ourselves, we trade with the rest of the world. There were times when most of what we get comes from abroad, and that is pretty much the same case as of today date. A lot of what we get comes from abroad. If we have to trade with people abroad and free money stop have the value that it has right now, we are going to end up having to come up with more money in order to do our foreign exchange and our foreign purchases. If we put Mr. Britannia head on the money, or we put Mr. Goldston head on the money, or we put Mr. Price head on the money, how much more value is that going to add to the money? Are any of the proponents of that idea willing to answer those questions? How much more is going to be added to the value of the money? As compared to, if we want to be so independent to the point where we have to produce our own gold reserves to back our own currency, which we don't have in the central bank or any other part of the country, other than the gold that is in the mountains that the Guatemalans have been taken out, and that a few other people are now, the Geg family had been given a concession before to do gold exploration in our country. But none of that money or that gold has ever found its way into our treasury to benefit our country or to back up our currency. How do we expect to back our currency and allow it to stay at 2 for 1 rather than floating and finding its own value on the international monetary exchange? Our people need to learn and understand these things and stop taking it for granted that whatever these half-baked, I don't know how to call these guys. These guys, I mean, I don't know. They are seriously deficient in their analysis. But because they keep we people so docile and so ignorant about the realities of these things, and they bamboozle and tell them all kind of craziness, it's only after the fact that people will realize, including themselves, when the money start to devaluate on the world market, on the currency market, that the merchants them in Belize will not be able to use a 2 for 1 purchasing power, and they start to have to pay a 3 for 1, 4 for 1, 5 for 1 when the money start get evaluated. Now, who do you think they are come to, or who do you think they are complaining to when the economy start to rile up and go south? These people are playing high stakes game, and I'm going to explain to you, the Belizean people, part of what is behind the back of their head. When they get us to disassociate from the British, if they're ever able to take the country into a Republican status and elect their own selves as being the new head of state whoever it becomes, will not use their asset to help make the Belizean dollar remains at its current 2-for-1 value, which it had been from 1950 till now. What they will do is they will not align themselves with Mexico. They will not align themselves with America. They will not align themselves with Jamaica or any of the other Caribbean countries other than maybe Cuba. And they will align themselves with Venezuela. And they will align themselves with Nicaragua. But which of these countries are going to finance our economy for us and keep it at 2-for-1 value? It's a fool's type dream that they're taking us on. They have resources. Let's take, for example, the Prime Minister. He have personal resources to come out of his ears and all other part of his body. Okay? Mr. Ashcroft. They have resources, billionaires, right? Of what significance or importance is this to them? The average Creole person running around on the street, going to bed at night, hungry. That's what's happening. And they could care less. They have done nothing to make a difference in terms of helping those scenarios. And they want to screw around with the economic well-being of the country because they want a different picture on the money. Instead of wait till we get the country in a better economic situation where we have some serious reserves that we could then say, okay, well, we have enough reserve that we could back with one currency and therefore we could do whatever we want with it. No, they want to play a hijinks game and help get us into a situation where we become one independent papa. Always have to stretch out your hand to the Taiwanese and to other countries to beg them for the extra money for help with the budget. Because we don't have a big enough and viable enough economy. We don't have a developed enough country where we could take with one natural resources, and even if we want to sell it abroad, at least we are able to sell it at a fair price. Or if we want to get the resources them out of the ground in our country and do some value-added effort to it, which is how most small countries survive. The bottom line is that these guys are playing geopolitical games with we national security and the integrity of we country. Because once they take us into Republican status, they can go and try and cut deals behind the scene with China and hope that China will give them a few dollars. And what that can do for us geopolitically. Guatemala is a friend of the US. And if we become a friend to the enemy of the US and the Chinese Republic wants to start do business with Belize and get closer to America, once they start suborning us under the guise of helping us, it will become a serious problem for America. And we will have aided and abetted that scenario. You think the United States being a better friend to Guatemala than they are to Belize would stop Guatemala from making any kind of effort against us once we are independent and we have nobody else to back us up because we are so big, bad, and bold? These people are playing geopolitical strategy with us, and they feel like because of their economic status in the society, in our small Belizean society, they're able to survive and move successfully forward. But I can tell you that when the money gets devaluated and we start to holler, it won't be too late to recover and to make a difference. Go ahead, Greg. I yield back, Mr.
Mr. Brackett, well said. Now let me say this to the Belizean public at home and abroad, and to you guys, my virtual hosts, sitting beside me. If you believe that the currency will not devalue, and you believe that we have enough financial backing Let me say this loudly. It is ludicrous, and I will show you why. The first one, we have the blue bond. If we move away from the crown, we have that to pay back. Secondly, every time we go to the house, we have about $800 million in borrowing from the house.
And
Number
continue.
three, we will have $1 million lawsuit coming at us over Port Magic, the Ashcroft Alliance, and the other port. Now, if you say your dollar is stable and peg at 2 to 1, and you want to change this country to a republic, why are you still borrowing from abroad and you still going to the house to borrow? That means that when you got
Lie.
independence based on ideology without idea to get away from colonialism, it was a lie because we
Talking
are
about
living in colonialism and our hands are still out there borrowing. So
begging the white man.
colonialism is alive and living well. Lastly, Mr. Brackett, speaking about Guatemala and the taking over and the ties that America have with Guatemala, nothing has changed since the Webster proposal, which was the 13th Webster proposal. All that has changed is it has formed a new name and is now been called the 13th Confidence Building
Mazie.
Measure.
Hmm.
Because, as is what is happening, they are still aiming to make Belize become the
That's right.
23rd state of Guatemala.
Hmm.
Period. No, we are looking at a government who is dealing in legalized conspiracy, using that as a method to change its people, its citizenry, into sovereign citizens against the state. And I
Hmm.
will show you how. The changing of the Queen's head from our currency. If you listen to the Deputy Prime Minister, it is time for Belize to get a new identity. We can start with our money. That is an factual, phony baloney. Changing the currency and talking about a new identity is hogwash. It will not change the fact that you are you are people of slavery. It will not change. Period. You will still carry the identity of you came up from slave master and you came out of Africa. So what they're saying to you is phony baloney. All right? Changing the crown of the money, turning republic will not stop you from not being descendants of slaves. Straight across the board. So let's stop talking about new identity. Okay? That's your culture. You will live with it and you will die with it. But
Mr.
let me
Chairman,
show you where the conspiracy come in. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I was about to add a little bit to what you're saying there about the new identity.
Go ahead, sir.
When these people talk about a new identity, they're talking about getting rid of the slave mindset and the slave identity of beliefs having been under the British and now being given up to the black Belizeans them, who are now being outnumbered uh, by demographic means, and the new identity is a Latinized identity, Central Americanized identity, and at the end of the day, it is not the Creoles that run the country anymore. They're not the majority anymore, and that is what our new identity is becoming. Less about the whole identity and more about the new identity, whom they are empowering with homes, farms, and come and squat on people's land, and then after 10, 20, 15 years, they go and spend all the money and pay under the table at the lands department, and they end up they get people land, and eventually, the government start get money from abroad to finance the farming development, start send them abroad on scholarships. None of that facilitation is being done for the average local Belizean that have been living in Belize over all these many decades or hundreds of years. The new identity is coming into being fast and furious. And every time any Belizean gets up and try to advocate or speak about it or point it out, they say you're a racist. You're discriminating against the Latin people that are coming into the country. You're not supposed to say nothing. You're supposed to just sit down, watch what's happening, and just let it be. You're a second-class citizen in your country, as the Prime Minister told us to our face. We're a minority, therefore we don't need to be involved in any of the major issues that relates to the governance of the country and the control of the country and the issues going on in the country. Just sit by and watch your country being taken over. And even though there will still be a few of us slave descendants, the majority will not be slave descendants because they will have a new identity. It's an imported identity, which has long been sought after. I yield back, sir.
Well said, sir. But what I was about to say is this. From 1981 to present, our fundamental rights that is enshrined in the Constitution that cannot be written out of existence has been soundly safe and protected by Section 20. Now, legalized conspiracy. We have a government who has a supermajority that can create and make any substantive law that they want to make. So why is it so important that they will use third-party platform abroad and at home, and they will have people trying to educate you about your fundamental rights? Now, are they forgetting that your fundamental right is protected by the referendum act? And if they want to ask you to give that up, they have to come through a plebiscite or a referendum. But they have no intention to do that. Legalized conspiracy is alive and living well, because this is how they are trying to get to the people. They are using your opinion as the form of consultant. They are asking these third-party platforms at home and abroad to talk to you in town halls and in different places. But as part of that, they are not telling you why they want to speak about your fundamental rights and Section 3 through 19 of the Constitution. What they're doing is misleading when they come and they ask you to tell them what section you want to take out and what section you want to add in. They're misleading you because there's nothing wrong with the Belizean Constitution. It's just that the government who is seeking power cannot get it through his majority. So he wants to mislead the people because the moment you give an opinion, he is going to say, we have consulted at home and abroad. And let me show you how the conspiracy is working. He is using the people in the diaspora, which by law they are supposed to be involved, but also by law they are unconstitutionally affected under the Seventh Amendment. Because when they cast their opinion, and those of you all who are living in the diaspora, who should be the pallbearers for the ones living at home to make that minority song overall, you do not have the right to vote. They have boxed you out of that. You did not vote in the last referendum, and you will not be able to vote in a referendum on constitution reform. So the government is trying to use you
Just a game.
to get your opinion, to say they have did all this consultation, to have you side with them, to change this country into a republic. That is what they are after. If you look up history and look for yourself from 1981 to present, there is no other government that has come to the people at home and abroad asking them to give up their fundamental rights and have anyone trying to teach them about their fundamental rights. Because if that is what they want to teach the people, first, they could have come with the draconian gun law, get rid of it. They could have come with the enterprise law and get rid of it. That is violating the people's constitutional right. They could have started with the Seventh Amendment that is boxing out the people in the diaspora. And there are other things they could have done, including the passing of legislation like UNCAP and the unconstitutional laws that they are passing in the non-profit organization bill, the civil assets, and unexplained wealth, where they are going only 12 years and boxing out their self. Why couldn't they make it retroactive and come from the Musa days to present? Because any Belizean living at home and abroad can call names from past government to present, and they can know who has been involved in corruption or assisted in corruption and has taken the assets of the people of Belize, of this country, and give it away. And we can go on. And we can start with the Belize airport to the port, and we can go on. So when we are talking about our financial currency, we do not have no fundamental backing at all, because
Just a game.
our government has refused to use our resources in any country in the world. That country's resources is what give their dollars financial backing along with gold. We have nothing except we have a government who is bent on still living in the colonialism with their hands out, borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Mr. Wade.
My brother, you couldn't have said it better, and these are things that we've been talking. It's always, we talk about these things. My total, displeasure, or the way I feel about the way these guys are going about, doing things, man. Right? They could never come to the people with truth. They could never come to the people with what they really want to do. Right? They could never, consult the people properly. Right? They could never do right by the people. It's all about hiding. Right? It's all about, doing things to suit them. Right? And like you rightfully says, Gregory, using the people, right, in these town hall meetings, trying to educate the Belizean people of their fundamental rights, right? That's the line they are taking to the people when they are the one that are, taking away the people's fundamental rights daily, abusing it, right? They are the main abusers of our fundamental rights, and here they come now, and then they have these little brochure and little fine little letters, and yeah, in educating, the Belizean people on their rights. That's their main mission, right? So now, like you rightfully says, they're going to use that, and then they're going to go back with a final report, and that should give them the authority to do what they want to do, which in fact they are misleading the people all along. Why is it so hard? That's my thing. Why is it so hard to come to the people and to tell the people, well, this is what we want to do, X, Y, and Z, man, right? And we would like a vote on it, because they say Belizean people stupid. That's what past and present governments say. Most Belizean people stupid, right? Man, I'm pretty sure that if they come the right way, they will get things done the right way, and then everybody will be happy. Mm-hmm. But the way they're hiding, right? You mentioned Gregory, and we touched on this already. Why go to the diaspora? Why? In trying to consult. I don't see the logic in that. When we know and they know that they cannot partake, they cannot participate in the process. Why they continue to do these things, right? Well, what I would like from the diaspora is to, when they go back to them for whatever reason, start to make some demand. Tell them, it's high noon that, we are allowed to participate in parliament, in the electoral process, right? That you guys pass, UDP and PUP government has backed us out. What are you afraid for? What is it that you are afraid of a Belizean American to sit in the house along with you guys? But I don't see why we don't allow it. I don't see why the great conspiracy, right, in trying to deny a Belizean American to participate in that in the electoral process or in the House, right? To contest our election, right? Why are you so afraid, right? I want the Belizean American to ask them that, right? You come all the time, they beg, right? No, we want to participate, man. But until then, like Leonard has said this before, we I've heard him say this. He says that most of us Belizean American, we still carry the same mentality, a party politics, right? We know damn well the UDP are a bunch of scoundrel, a bunch of crooks. But when the leaders, when the ministers and go over there and they meet the UDP people, oh man, it's all hanky panky and all that, and they know damn well there are some crooks, right? Partisan politics. The PUP, same thing. When they go to the town hall and go to the PUP stronghold and get at the PUP, the PUP Belizean American PUP neighborhood, and they got a town hall meeting, right? Party politics, and the PUP then over there know the ills and the evil these guys do. They're so evil. They're satans, right? Disguised. But yet, they welcome them with open arms. You need to stop that, man. Right? We need to stop that. Right? Call a spade a spade. What do you have to lose? When you have your loved ones over here suffering in the hands of these scoundrels. Right? And yet, when they go over there, you laugh and grin with them. When they know damn well when they come back here, love one 150 by 100 piece for land for building a Lee house, they don't even get it. Right? Know damn well how they will treat loved ones when they come back here. It's a repetitious cycle. Right? Need to stop that. And we need to look them in the eyes and call them for who they are. As for me, I am totally against the constitution reform because, like you said, Greg, there's nothing wrong with our constitution. Nothing at all. What they should be doing with our constitution, they don't want to do that. Trust me. Like I name one. Put in the constitution, we will have elected senators. Elected, not appointed. Right? That's just one. Take away, the second one is take away these powers that some of these ministers have. Right? Take it away. Right? Not fair to the Belizean people. You come begging for a little vote, right? And say all the good things you'll do for us and the things that you will not do, only to know you are Satan. You sit on the seat, and then you have all the powers. You designate yourself powers that you're not even supposed to have, and use it against your people. Repetitious cycle need to stop, right? That's what I would like to see happen in this country in terms of wanting to reform the constitution. And like you said, Gregory, they don't even have to go to the constitution. They have the supermajority. They could pass any damn law they want to pass, right? But when it's not convenient for them, they're going to come around and use the people. Consultation. The word consultation, when they go back, it's a yes. They said it's okay. Because we already consult the whole country. And a lot of these town hall, like this meeting they are having now, people do not even have a slightest idea of what is their message, right? Slightest idea what they're really there for, because they are not telling the truth. They are not telling the people the truth.
Mr.
So,
Wade, Mr. Wade, the question the people should ask in those meetings, what is government agenda that they want us to know, why they want us to say what we want to put in and take out of the Constitution. What is the agenda they have in mind? Period. And if they don't want to ask that question, boldly ask it. Is your intention to change Belize into a republic? Why you are doing these consultations in the form of opinion? Because that's what they're hiding behind. And as I said before, they are using this tragedy to turn the Belizean people into sovereign citizens against the crown. Because if you don't know your constitution and you don't read it, the magic word, getting away from our savory ancestors, you know what will happen. Any Belizean will say, oh yes, it's time we get away from them. They were slave masters, not knowing the real deal why they are proposing to have people educate on the Constitution. Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. How do they expect the people of Belize to vote on a new constitution when they don't know the present one? After 41 years of independence, stop the average person on the street and ask them a question about the constitution. And 99 times out of 100, they'll have no idea what you're talking about, or what is it that, or how, or what they're supposed to contribute to the discussion. Or if you ask them for vote on 100 issues in the Constitution, 99% of the time they vote wrong because they don't know what they're voting about or voting on. So the strategy or the trick is keep the people ignorant of the facts of what is the law and not the law, and just tell them what you think you want them hear, and hope that they respond to whatever they hear from you and roll with it. That's the name of the game in town. Unfortunately, even when the government is being told in public that they are committing a crime against the people by abusing the people's right, misusing the Constitution, abusing the people's right, and then turn around and want to have the people who want up to the outcome. Because when they finish do what they are calling their constitutional reform, by the time they finish their consultation, what they call consultation, which is not the same as what when the Constitution speaks about consultation, it is speaking about a referendum where the people have a right and an opportunity to lodge and indicate physically through a referendum whether they are in approval or disapproval of whatever is it that the government is trying to put to them. I can assure you that when the time comes for them to talk about having a plebiscite, or a referendum, it's mostly going to be a yes or no answer. And it's not going to be a yes or no answer on the particulars or the specific points that the present constitution has or the new constitution will have. Because in order to appreciate the value or the significance of the new constitution that they are trying to put in place, people will have to have some knowledge about the past constitution. In other words, they have to understand what a constitution is about and why is it that the constitution is about that. Right now, most people don't know. So if you give them a chance to vote in a plebiscite, if you give them a referendum right now to vote on any of the elements that constitute the present constitution, they wouldn't know what to vote on or whether to say yes or no or understand what they're saying yes about or no about. How much more informed are they going to be by the time they're supposed to vote on the new constitution that these knuckleheads are trying to bamboozle them to accept? As we have indicated over and over, not only do they have a majority, they have a supermajority. Not only do they have a supermajority, they have actually a super majority. What part of the constitution they can't touch with that super majority should be very simple for the people to be educated about, which is what we are trying to do right here with all these different educational efforts that we are going through, and especially on the constitutional nights when you talk about constitution and the different things that's happening with our constitution. And yet, most Belizean people are not tuning into what we are saying. So they are still, despite what we are saying, they're still oblivious about what they're supposed to be hearing and knowing and learning and understanding. I'm saying most, right? Because quite a few people are tuning in after the fact. Whether live now or after the fact, it doesn't matter. Some of them tune in, which is good enough. But it would be much better if a lot more people would spend their time tuning into these kind of discussions or explanations. Because this kind of information is what's going to make the difference as to what the rest of their lives and livelihood is going to be in the country. Whatever is left of it after these jackals and hyenas finish doing what they try to do with it. But the bottom line is, when you tamper with the money, and we are being worse off for that, then you tamper with the Constitution, and we're supposed to end up being worse off after that. Then you tamper with the territorial integrity, and we're supposed to be worse off after the end of that process. They're tampering with our basic civil rights, day-to-day survival, or day-to-day trying to make a living. They want to come into your house and determine how much money you have in your house, or if you have a bank account. They have the ability to be able to determine what money belongs to in each of the bank then. They can come and dispossess you of your funding like they did with their company. And you got to come and find another way how to get to a lawyer to support you to go fight them to get back your money. And so many other craziness that they're going on with. At the end of the day, you're not serving as a decent, law-abiding government should be serving the people. It's all about themselves and their friends and their cronies. If you happen to be one of those people, what I'm saying make no sense to you or make no difference to you. Because you're bread buttered on both sides and even on the edges too. Most of these ministers, let me give you an example. I'll call you a name, a specific name I'll call right now. The man just got millions of dollars from Mr. Ashcroft, out of the settlement when Mr. Ashcroft get from the treasury from Belize. Hundreds and hundreds of millions he got out of our hide. And this good gentleman was paid substantive millions as his fee for participating on behalf of Ashcroft as one of his lawyers. Now he's also a senator. So he's getting paid as a senator and getting a retirement gratuity as a senator. He's also getting paid the higher senator's pay for being the lead government business senator who gets paid more than the average senator or the regular senator. And he will also have an additional retirement benefit from that level of payment. As being a senator, he's also getting gratuities. He's getting benefits. He's getting a vehicle. He's getting expenses paid. He's getting traveling expenses. He's getting hotels when he travels abroad. He's getting stipends when he's abroad. He's getting all kind of, and then now also, he's a member of cabinet by virtue of being made into a minister. So as a member of cabinet, he's getting paid more than the people that are elected, that are not member of cabinet, who are just backbenchers. He's getting a bigger salary than they are. But he's also, besides getting a bigger salary, he's also getting a retirement package out of that because he's also a minister. Not only is he just a minister without portfolio, or a minister as a what you call the minister of state. He's not just a minister of state, he's a full-fledged portfolio holding minister. He's getting paid for that too. So he's getting a bigger pay as a minister than the average House of Representative member who are the backbenchers for his own party. He's also having multiple ministry under his portfolio. Immigration, foreign affairs, vital statistics, and on and on and on. And he's getting compensation and additional salaries to make sure that all of those departments that he's running are adequately funded, financed, and benefit deriving from there, or funding deriving from there, for him as the minister of those portfolio. He's getting perks. Besides that, he's a lawyer. He's one of our top-notch lawyers. So he's getting money coming out of his ears from his law firm that he's the senior partner of. Not just a partner, or not just a regular lawyer. He is the senior, or in other words, the biggest partner in the whole law firm. And then he also inherited part of his father's assets, part of which his father got from the government and was supposed to return to the government because they were ordered to do so through the courts. It was never done. So that means that he also has that additional funds in his pocket or available to him, in addition to his father's other wealth or other assets. So this gentleman is not going to want for a plate of food on his table, or a morsel of bread, or a spoon of sugar, or one cup of flour, or a glass of water. This gentleman is well heeled. And he is just one of the many others. Our country is being raped and pillaged for the welfare and benefit of the elite few, their cronies, their colleagues, and their business partners. As in the case of the Prime Minister, his business partner is Mr. Ashcroft, right? Who took away majority shares of his telephone company from him. He also owns oil companies. He also gets a salary as a House of Representative member. He gets a salary as a cabinet member, being in charge of different portfolio and Ministry of Finance. He also gets a salary as a Prime Minister, which not too many other people get in cabinet and or in the House of Representatives or in the country, for a matter of fact, because we have only had a few prime ministers during the lifespan of the country. And he'll be getting a retirement gig on all those things as well. In addition, he gets all kind of perks. Gasoline for putting in his own private vehicle, a maintenance allowance, insurance allowance, telephone allowance, even though he owns the damn company himself. Because he take what the government contracts them from the government owned telephone company, or be the Belizean people who and give it to his own body. The company where he and his body, Mr. Ashcroft won, so that they can make more money out of what we hide. And he's getting all kind of perks. When he travels abroad, his expenses are paid for. His food is paid for. Everything is paid for. And that goes for a lot of other ministers as well. They could carry who they want on trips as junk trips or as junk, you know. What I'm trying to say to you, Belizean people and my colleagues, is the people that we are talking about in terms of managing our country's affairs and not managing it on the basis of being sensitized to the daily survival of the average citizen. They're high up in the clouds. Like I said one time, they don't drive around like Mr. Price and get out on a vehicle and meet people and socialize with the people and understand or get a sense of how the poverty level is striking people and how people are suffering. They drive from one place to the next and they pass people. They never stop and give out only shilling like what Mr. Price used to do. Mr. Price used to give out these shilling. In fact, he used to have people come and line up the office there, long lines from upstairs at the office all the way down the veranda, downstairs, down the steps, all the way out to the street there by courthouse. People they wait to go get a lease shilling. Then Balian him do a lease shilling with all the money whether they appropriate and whether they get out of the government coffers in addition to their own private ventures. Not to say about the connections on other business when they have with other people, because every minister have connections on business that they're doing private that is separate from the government salary and the government perks now when they get. That's why I keep pleading to the man there. Do something for the poor people. Take care of the people's business. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Sorry I went on so long.
You know, I listened to you, and that was very well said. But while I agree with you on that specifically, I still believe that constitution reform should not be done, including the changing of crown and the money, until after we have a verdict from the ICJ. And also when we have a full implementation of UNCAP. Because let me say this to you guys and the people at home and abroad. And this I can specifically say. If you recall, I have always said that as educated as one may be, it does not mean they can run a country. And today, that is proven. Because no, the most important individual who is supposed to stand up and protect us internationally, he was meant to look smart, as though he does not understand of what was asked of him. But
What did
then,
the Prime Minister say?
when we turn around, when we turn around and we have at least 8 lawyers
Mhm.
in the House or in the cabinet who does not understand that a definitive agreement is null and void and still wanted to go ahead and process it. And these are attorneys.
Mhm.
Now, how can the government come to the public wanting to do constitution reform with at least 98% of people who does not read the constitution, and you have
So,
seasoned attorney
so.
who is supposed to know laws,
Mhm.
and they themselves does not know the validity of a definitive agreement that is illegal or not illegal. And
But
even when they seek
they,
highly opinion, they are still like unbelieving Thomas.
uh, Mr. Chairman.
But this is not why I'm saying this, and I will give you a break.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm waiting. I'm
saying
gonna wait.
this to let the people understand we have a government who is in like 2.5 years of its term, who is going to face a Senate inquiry for corruption. No, if this is the same government that is coming to you asking about constitution reform and your fundamental rights, how can you trust them that they will do what is right for you? Because when I look at a country like Barbados, who, who took 8 years to reform their constitution and consulted in every corner they could and strengthened the fundamental rights of the people and the outcome of it, and strengthen their judiciary to make sure there is separation of powers. I applaud them. It took them 8 years for us to try to do something of that magnitude in 18 months is unbelievable. I see it as a ploy to turn the people as sovereign citizens against the crown, misusing the word repatriation and slavery to lead them.
Mhm.
Mr. Brackett, you were about to say something?
Yes. Um. What happened is th- these guys in cabinet, the ones that actually stood up and rebelled or objected to having this stuff processed through cabinet to be put on the floor for the House of Representatives to vote on, saved us from a major catastrophe. But how can they, in good conscience as well, try to defend the indefensible by saying to us, the general public, that they did not realize, even at the time when they were standing up to try and stop that crazy scenario from coming into existence, that they themselves at that point was being bamboozled because they had not seen the definitive they had not seen the Jarasowicz recommendation. legal advice, which they, even at the time, as a matter of fact, call name. When Mr. Fonseca got on the TV and said he had not seen or read the Jerusalem recommendation, wasn't he confessing right there and then that he was being asked to vote on something that the evidence was being hidden away from him and the rest of the members of cabinet, that they were being bamboozled, and that he was only replying on behalf of the Attorney General to a question that a member of the opposition had posed, why he spoke to the issue, but he had not seen the Jerusalem documents, and they were not privy to it in cabinet. Why were they not privy to it in cabinet? Why didn't the Prime Minister and his Ministry of Finance put together all those documents and give it to the members of cabinet, along with a summary to explain to them their reason why they decided to go the way they were, instead of hiding the evidence that contravened what they were trying to pull off? Went there with enabling legislation at that, in addition to the cabinet papers. If they were just supposed to discuss the matter, they should not have been presented with enabling the legislation and cabinet papers to vote on matter there and to forward it to the House of Representatives, because they had a deadline of the 6th of June, which was just a few days away from then. That shows you the level of treachery and the level of connivingness that even among cabinet members, people who were trying to defend the government were being used, misused, and abused by the Prime Minister and his other colleagues who were in on the game. And he could right well remember why the GCM occurred, of which he was a part of, against the Musa administration, because of the same treachery. The then Musa, as Prime Minister, and Mr. Fonseca, the senior Ralph, at that time, and others, were bamboozling the rest of the member of cabinet. And Mr. Belizean then was part of the G7 group that opposed what was being done when they found out what was happening, after we provided them the documentation to show them that they were not being dealt with correctly as a consensus body. Now he won't come and pull the same crap from guys them that he's Prime Minister in cabinet. So basically, he's just as bad as the G7, as the World Guards. But make it further
Mr.
worse.
Brackett,
Wait, make it further worse. Just a second, I'm finished right now. He's already decided that he is going to go ahead and give protocol for the import, and has already designated people to negotiate to make sure that that comes about, because he has the members in cabinet now on his side, and he has enough members in the House of Representatives as backbenchers that will enable him to fulfill that desire of bringing together, of bringing into existence protocol, when in fact protocol should not exist because it's a dead race scenario. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
but Mr. Brackett, with all that said, in reality, what I was targeting is, if we have a government that is a no confidence government because of their action, why would we, the public at home and abroad, want to have a government like that lead us into constitution reform to a republic? Come on, it makes no sense. Mr. Wade.
Brother, you know, well said, well said. Guys, we could go back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s Who were the people that decides what goes and what stays? Belizean people, right? Ban, Creole, Banya, Livia, the black people, right? Fast forward now, 2023. Who do we have here in Belize that decides our fate? Where is the black Belizean and the Belizean person? Where are they? We have a society in Belize that migrated and blended in and became Belizean, that are ignorant of our constitution, right? So, what do you think the politicians do? They capitalize on that. Fast forward to how they got, backwards, how they got to the ICJ. From there, remember a little incident when they wanted Belmopan to become a city? Who are the people that decided? Right? They will get what they want. Right? No, we are the one that holding them to task. So let's see how many will follow us. Because, like I say, and Gregory say, and Leonard say, Constitution reform. Again, look at the message they're taking. Does the naturalized Belizean care about our Constitution? Hell no. Based on my experience. So, like I say, this government has their agenda. They had done it before. They do not respect the black Belizean populace anymore. We are a minority. So they could care less about us. They will go with their trickery and get what they want. Because, like I say, the people that will put them there are ignorant of our Constitution. In fact, they could care less. Consider where they came from. Okay? So at the end of the day, the People's United Party government will get their agenda pushed through. Right? That's my take on that, guys.
You know, Mr. Wade.
We could run for another
Go
10
ahead.
minutes, Greg, so we could tie up.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Wade. A lot of these people that are going around trying to educate on the Constitution, some of them don't even know the Constitution.
That's so
And
sure.
honestly, because let me say this, some of these same individual, and I will not call name, that is on the third party platform abroad and at home, that is getting up and say they have spoken with attorneys. Man, attorneys don't even know the Constitution. You have them sitting on the bar, and you have learned women and men that don't know. Because let me say this, the government is trying to teach you about your constitutional right. And these educated, learned women and men who knows about the draconian gun law and the enterprise law is doing absolutely nothing about it, which is violating your fundamental rights under innocent until proven guilty. Furthermore, I will say something, and I don't even know if my cousin would know. What is the 1982 Parliamentary Act? As any one of these guys who say they know the Constitution. Everybody's silent.
You stumped me with that one.
Oh yeah, you pull that one on me there, Greg. I
That's what I'm saying.
research on that.
A lot of people who claims it don't know it. The Parliamentary Act is when Belize was supposed to get its constitution when it was written under the Crown in the UK. Go look it up.
Well, I know that. I know that part. I'm aware of that, but I wasn't
All
sure
right.
that's what I was referring to.
So I'm saying
Yeah.
I didn't want
people want to educate, and majority of them knows nothing.
to. The problem, though, Greg, is that they're claiming that they're educating the people about the Constitution. They're having this discussion about the Constitution, but they're not explaining and saying nothing that has to do with the Constitution itself or any of the citations in the Constitution or the preamble of the Constitution. They're not speaking to the Constitution itself. They're just using the word or the term Constitution as an over umbrella under which they're hiding their real agenda. They're not telling the people about no sections of the Constitution, no citations from the Constitution, no subsections of the Constitution, no parts of the Constitution, no nothing about the Constitution. We're not educating about the Constitution. That is what we do here on this program. They're not doing that. They're just spending some money with a shell game with the idea that, first of all, they're not teaching the people nothing. They're just going out right now to solicit people's input. How can the people provide them input on something that they have no knowledge about?
That's my point.
And then they turn around and call it educational campaign. They don't understand what
Who are the ones
bamboozle mean.
that they're talking
They don't
to?
understand the meaning of the word bamboozle. Sorry,
That's my point.
No.
Go ahead.
To answer that for you, right?
5 minutes we could wrap up, no?
To answer that for you, this will be my closing.
Yes, sir.
How would a government, or why would a government wants to teach about fundamental right to the people when he himself is violating the Constitution, when he is trying to use executive powers to pass law that should be left up to the legislators?
Separation
Come
of
on.
powers.
Exactly.
Violation of the separation of powers.
So that is my closing, Mr. Wade.
Well, it's always a pleasure, my good guys. We put the education out there, and for those who want to grab it, it's there free. We educate the public, and on the issues at hand. I would like to see, like I say, a transparent government. I yet to see that, right? I would like to see that, somewhere before the end, this government comes to the people and tell them their real intention, what they really want to do to us, right? I'm waiting, right? Because the road they are going on right now is not a good one. And, and at the end of the day, we have to live with it, right? At the end of the day, it will only harm a certain sector of society, right? Not the ones that are implementing it, right? So, because they have their agenda. So, I would like to see this government come clean, right? Stop the line, right, and start to attend to the people, right? Attend to the needs of the people, right? There are other more important issues that are directly affecting the poor people of this nation that are being ignored continuously. I would like to see that they start to do what is right, and to address the issues at hand in terms of poverty, right? In terms of high price at the grocery stores, address the lowering of gasoline, right? That directly affect us, right? Not affect the ministers and heads of department and who carry a fuel order book, because they only sign, right? So they could care less. What I'm saying is that I would like to see the government start to attend to the needs of the people. There's lots of needs that are being ignored. Healthcare, equip the hospitals, right? Directly affect poor people, right? So, you know, that shenanigans that they're pulling, they need to stop it, man. Right? There is no great importance on people do not want their constitution reform. Most Belizeans do not want that. Most. I'm not saying all. Right? Leave it the way it is, man. Right? And start to attend to the real needs of the Belizean people at hand. That's my closing.
Mr. Wade,
Mr. Chairman.
Just a second, first. The transparency you want to see will come from the Senate inquiries. That's the only transparency you will see.
Since you touched on that subject, I just want to say that as far as I could perceive, based on what Mr. Courtney have already stipulated, he being one of the senators then, and more likely than not, may be on that particular panel, I'm not sure. But at least you will have something to contribute as regards to how that panel is going to operate, whether he's on there or not. Because he's already stipulating that he's trying to set some rules for them so that the end result of their effort will be stymied. Or
that's it right there, my brother.
Other people who are impugned.
No, this is one.
Wait. Other people who becomes impugned by that committee, he's trying to set the ground for them to be able to turn around and sue that committee if in case that committee goes too far in terms of pointing out the ills that has happened. He's trying to basically stymie the whole effort of the committee. Okay? And I'm saying that because of what he has already said, and he being a key player in that particular situation, being the lead government business person, he's going to affect how that committee operation works out.
Exactly.
I'm worried about that.
Exactly. Let me say this real quick. We had a Senate. We had something like that played out already, you know, in the UD, you know, what the last Senate inquiry, right? The last inquiry, right? You see how that happened, right? You see how that played out, right?
Guys, I want you guys to pay keen attention. I will say this right now. The government did not go to a referendum to legalize marijuana. I believe they will come with legislation since they have majority to regulate it. So look out, regulating it will be just as legalizing it. So I'm saying this, I'm just putting it out there. Let's see what happens.
Mr. Musa,
at the end of the day, they get what they want. They'll get what they want at the end of the day.
They didn't want to lose the referendum but they want to have the implementation of their stuff that should have gone to referendum and make it turn out the way they want it to be. But again,
Exactly.
it's another story. Next week, not next week, next Wednesday, no? 2 days from today.
Exactly.
Again,
Well, good night to the people at home and abroad. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition, the 15th edition of Belizean Affairs. Sitting beside me tonight virtually is my good host, my cousin Mr. Brackett and Mr. Weird. Guys, I'm
Thank you.
always highly appreciated of you guys to be on this panel that we can discuss the things that are happening in the country and try to share and educate with the Belizean public. With that,
thank you.
I will say good night to you guys and
Good
the
night, sir.
public.
Good night.
Thanks.
Belize and beyond. Good night
Okay.
to our viewers and listeners. Good night.